Alright, so we're going to deal with an ancient Greek play called Medea. If you've never heard of this story, spoiler alert, I'm going to do some textual analysis and give some commentary on this play. So it's an ancient play and it's a tragedy, so it is very troubling, but I feel that this is a popular play that's discussed in many literature classes, so I'm going to get into it and give you my 2 cents, even if you find them controversial. So, the setting is in Corinth, okay, and the characters are Medea, Jason, Medea's nurse, the tutor of Medea and Jason's sons, Creon, the king of Corinth, Aegeus, king of Athens, there's a messenger, there's a chorus of Corinthian women, Medea and Jason's 2 boys, and the 2 boys' nannies. Okay, so on the first lines, we're going to go into between lines 13 through 20. Doing whatever she could to help out Jason, that is the strongest safeguard there is. When a wife always sides with her husband, but now they're at odds. Their bond is infected. Deserting his children along with my mistress, Jason has climbed into a royal bed with the daughter of Creon, king of this land. Poor Medea feels cruelly dishonored. So, a little bit of quick cliff notes about this. So, there is a princess, and Jason had the hots for her, and he was married. So he decides to go ahead and essentially try to marry the princess, and Medea is a woman who is not Greek, and she's from a land far away. So she's super upset that her husband is going to marry another woman and have children with them, and that he will eventually become king. So she is in a total fit right now. She's upset, she's jealous, she's raging. And so we're going to jump ahead to another thing that I highlighted to give more evidence to you of why I think what I think. I'm highlighting the lines that I think are relevant to formulate my opinion. So this is lines 36 through 45. She hates her sons, gets no joy from seeing them. I am afraid that she's planning something. I know her. She's relentless and will not put up with being mistreated. I can imagine her sharpening a knife and stabbing someone, sneaking to a house where the wedding's bed's made, to kill the king and his daughter's new bridegroom, and will only cause herself more trouble. She is fierce. If you get into a fight with her, you won't come out singing a victory song. Jump ahead, the nurse is speaking now, lines 90 through 95. Now you make sure they are kept by themselves, the boys, not near their mother while she's so distraught. She looks at them the way a mad bull would, as if she's about to make some move. She won't stop raging until she crushes someone. Better her enemies than people she loves. And then the nurse also gives us an insight to the character and mental state of Medea. This is the proud to the core, incurable spirit stung by sorrows. That was line 109, 1010. Okay? So, Medea is an evil character, in my view. I know some far left-wing extremist feminists will rationalize Medea's actions that we were going to learn more about, but I would argue that she's just a demonstration of why divorce needs to be swift and easy, and she's an example of fickleness and weakness because she is so distraught over her partner cheating on her that she is contemplating in these texts to hurt her sons. So we're going to go a little bit further, more evidence. And so we're on lines around 210 to about 219. Medea is speaking. Women of Corinth, I have left the house to avoid offending you. With many people, you know that they are proud whether they stay home or go out, but others are seen as aloof just because they choose to lead quiet lives. People aren't fair when they judge with their eyes, not taking the trouble to look inside. They hate someone on side who's done them no harm. So a stranger really has to fit in. It's not good when even a self-willed native is out of touch and rude to fellow citizens. In my case, this unexpected calamity has crushed my spirit. I am finished, friends. Done with life's joys, I wish I were dead. My husband, who was everything to me, is actually, I now see, the worst of men. And, okay, she's very full of spite, okay? And Creon, the king, is suspecting Medea of contemplating some barbarous act. And he wants to exile her so that she's never able to fulfill her plots against the new wife. So, they are going to really illustrate to us how mentally deranged she is. So, Medea speaks on, here's a couple of lines that I thought will help make it more relevant. She's talking to Jason right now, confronting him about his actions. So, she says, starting at lines 461, "It's not some daring noble endeavor to look friends in the face after you've wronged them, but the lowest and sickest of human failings. Shamelessness. Still, it is good that you came, if I name all your appalling actions." I'm going to skip down a little bit. "I saved you," she tells Jason. "Every Greek knows, who shipped out with you on Argo, when you had to bring the fire-breathing bulls under the yoke and sow a deadly field. And that serpent which never slept and held the golden fleece in winding coils. I killed it, bringing you the light of salvation. As for me, I cheated my father and followed you to Iolcus at Mount Pelion. Infatuated, not thinking straight, I made Peleus die in the most gruesome way, at his daughter's hands. I ruined his house. All of this I did for you, you lowlife. And you'd have deserted me for someone new, even though we have children. If we didn't, you couldn't be forgiven for wanting her." Okay, listen. Medea is saying that Jason is the evil one here. So, first off, she convinced Peleus' daughters to kill their father and boil him alive. Well, sorry, I said that in the reverse. She convinced them to boil their dad until he died. And it's her rationality of committing such a horrific act as some type of tribute to love itself is demented. So, any decent woman, which I'm arguing Medea is not, some people will use critical gender theory, they'll use all these weird theories to try to justify what Medea is doing just because her man slept with someone else. And I would argue that Medea deserves more of a punishment first off, right? So the story behind Jason is a cliff note of it, especially if you're not familiar with Greek literature. Medea also kills her brother to help Jason and her escape faster. Okay? She forsakes her father and her homeland for Jason. She's already has a body count significantly before Jason has even cheated on her with a princess. Okay? So she's not some misfortunate, oh, poor her, she got cheated on. No. She's a ruthless, savage killer. Okay? So so when you hear her criticizing Jason, keep that in mind, that she is not some saintly Mother Teresa virgin, but she's actually a conniving, scheming, schizophrenic moron who is deeply dark. And that is my biased opinion, but the textual evidence has shown this. Okay? So she tells to Jason on lines 484, "Our oaths mean nothing to you. I can tell if you think those gods have lost their power, or imagine that the rules have changed for mortals, since you are well aware that you broke a promise. My right hand here, to think I let you touch it, and to clasp my knees. I was abused by a swindler, deceived by false hopes." So think about this. She was deceived. Well, first off, Jason still stayed with her even after she killed her own brother. So he knew what he was getting into, and she herself should know what she is, but she doesn't because she's mentally deranged, and she keeps justifying her actions as, well, we poor women suffer, and we poor wives suffer, and I am a new woman to this land, therefore I'm suffering because no one wants to be my friend. Well, honestly, who would want to be a friend with a woman who convinced two daughters to kill their father? And then who'd want to be friends with a woman who killed her own brother for a guy? I mean, think about this. So she keeps rambling on in her text here about oath breakers. Well, what is the oldest oath? The oldest oath is the duty to your father, to your family. And she herself has committed an oath of breaking, right? She broke the oaths of other people's families and even her own. So I don't feel sorry for Medea that her husband maybe had his eyes on another woman. I mean, imagine, I'm projecting here because this doesn't exactly say that Jason felt this. But if, he's probably thought to himself, I got this psycho lady who's so cutthroat. Maybe he saw a tender-hearted spirit in the new princess. We don't learn a lot about the princess's personality, but we can sort of project our own conceptions about what would cause him to wonder. Was it just that the princess was beautiful, or was it something more? So let's keep that in mind when we're going in here. And so she also betrayed her own father and ran away from home. So she herself is just not some moral little angel who I'm going to feel sorry for. And I know a lot of women are going to try to say that this character, it's a fictional character, by the way, this person never existed, but the writer existed, but not the Medea, the character herself. And they'll say, like, well, she was driven mad by lust and passion. I'm sorry, but jealousy, if it's that strong in someone, that person's character constitution is severely, impeded. I mean, no amount of... If I had a lover that humped 100 women, that's still not going to make me think about harming my children here, okay? And another person brought up in my class that, why didn't Medea just take out Jason herself? So why did she have to harm her own children? And they say, well, it's because she wanted to hurt him the most. And here's what I'd say. That was a psychological hurting him, but she could have grabbed him and tortured him in the story, right? She could have directly harmed Jason for his actions. Instead, she was such a crazy woman in this story, this fictional story, that she justified doing a crime against humanity. It's a crime against motherhood and common human decency to hurt your own offspring. So I'm going to cut this off here because it's at the 12-minute mark, but we'll continue in the next video.